Oh, my goodness me. As I always say, it's so good to be with you. Good afternoon, good evening, and don't forget good morning, because it is morning in some parts of the world, particularly in the Middle East right now, where my two very good, wise friends are enjoying, I hope, a fine day. So, Phoebe, how are you this morning?
Greetings and good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of you. Good to be here with Graham and Mohammed.
Okay, thank you. I'll come back to that. Mohammed, good morning. How are you?
Good morning from Bahrain. Hi, Phoebe. Hi, Graham, and everyone who's watching this.
Thank you. Something I pick up on straight away, and that is that the question that I asked, both of you avoided. So what happens when a leader is in a discussion with someone where there might be a difficult issue or problem, or he wants to find something out, and the person that they ask the question of avoids the answer? And we could put that another way and say, what if someone not the leader as the team leader or director or the more senior person, but the other person asks the leader a question and the leader avoids the answer? So what can happen? Phoebe, I'll ask you the question again. How are you, Phoebe?
Yeah, very good, Graham, and enjoying the Sunday.
That's really good. And Mohammed, how are you, my friend?
All is good. Fine, 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 fine.
You see, now when I ask this question, I'm
Mm.
asking it out of genuineness. I don't expect a medical report, but it's an expression of I care about you and I hope that all is well. And usually we
Mm.
say, yeah, I'm fine. Now that's really good. One gentleman I know very, very well, he because English is a second language, you never ask him how he is. He says, I'm very fine. But for those of us who have an understanding of the English language, putting very in front of fine doesn't usually work in that context. However,
Mm.
it's nice to know these well. But I come back to what I was suggesting, and that is that sometimes people avoid uh, answers to questions. You think that sometimes happens? Of course, it's minor when it's about how are you. It's relatively minor. But there can be other times when something more serious is in play, and there is a deal of avoidance, even a deal of avoidance or about the answer to solve what might be a problem. So who would like to challenge me on the assertion that I make?
Um, I'm challenging you because if I don't, I will be avoiding, right? So I will avoid avoiding
Yeah, good.
and cut to the chase and say that this is costing a lot in organizations when people who are right there in the front line, knowing all the information, getting all the data, seeing all the issues, and yet fail to say the truth to the man who trusted them to convey the full picture, but they don't. They are in the meeting, the leader asks, okay, are there any issues at hand we need to look at? Guess what? Does everybody say everything? And do they say all about everything, how deep they go to the matters? I can say, yes, we have an issue in the reception hall, but can you say everything? Or will you ignore and avoid? Because if you avoid, you will be comfortable for a short while. I mean, the team member will be comfortable for the short while because, if he opens the can of worms, the leader will open a full investigation. Why is this happening? Why didn't you? So, you know what? They avoid the headache and they don't challenge. They don't, tell the leader what is really going wrong out there. So I'm just painting a picture before we go deep into the conversation that this is really happening. And sometimes it is costing us huge things in the organization.
Yes,
Avoiding.
absolutely. Phoebe.
One aspect which sometimes people forget is, people respect hierarchy in organization and workplace. And if you are in a leadership position, the challenge me is going to be a tough ask. And that is also linked to the culture which we have created. And I like to inform our audience, our viewers, that in this context, I'm saying culture is the behavior which is being observed and displayed in the workplace. What
Yes.
kind of behavior are we seeing? What kind of behaviors are encouraged? What kind of behaviors are discouraged? And people in the workplace are observing. And if there is an instance in which the concept of challenge me is going a downward spiral, where someone is being treated in a very difficult way, then the option in front of people is not to challenge me as a as people are in the hierarchical role. So people become more of yes, masters, yes, we will do that, you that. And they don't give ideas, they don't share thoughts in that process. So challenge me. If again I want to bring in the concept of the leadership challenge by Jim Kouzes and Barry Posner, one of the key and the first practice of exemplary leadership is model the way. And the challenge to me, if we can connect it with model the way, think that how and the way in which people will be approaching people in positions of hierarchy. And it will be totally different, where the values are being shared and people are willing to come back and have the conversation with the leader in a challenge me fashion, where issues can be shared. And that creates a safety environment for people to come up. We call it psychological safety as a concept. So as people who are running organization, how is challenge me happening in your workplace? That is a question which I want to ask our audience at this point of time. Graham.
So let's reflect on two of the old rules for the workplace. And I think both of you are probably of the age that you would you would remember the old rules. Maybe I'm showing my age a little bit more, but the two of the old rules that existed, some I would say still exist, these in some places, I mean. The first one is this: don't bring your problems or your emotions to work. Leave them at home. That was one of the old rules. You're here to work. Don't bring your emotions to work. We know that's not true. You can't leave your emotions at home. There's not a little box by the front door that you put your emotions in when you're walking out to get into the car. No, your emotions are with you all the time. And we've got to manage them, and it's called emotional intelligence. So that was a major step forward in the way organizational behavior occurs, emotional intelligence. The other rule is this. The other rule is this: never question authority. Your manager, and certainly his manager, is omnipotent. They are all-knowing. They know everything, and you must not question what they ask for or what they are doing. You can't question their attitude or their procedures. They are in their job because they know everything there is to know. So just get on with your job, right? Do you agree that those are the two old rules? And they still exist in some situations, as I said. But it's important that both of those change. We know the impact of emotional intelligence in the workplace. We know that. It's not enough people know about it, not enough people manage their own emotions enough, not enough people manage the emotions of others. But we're not here to talk about that today. We've done that before. But it's this critical area where people might feel intimidated in questioning their manager. They might feel that I should just get on with my job. He might, in any case, just say, look, we're dealing with it, just get on with your job. This is not the sort of answer that should be given to someone who is pointing out a problem that might exist. So I think we've defined the issue. We, the three of us, I'm sure, are championing the cause that people in the workplace should have the right to question their manager, I'm not saying question the CEO. No. Let's just go through. Let's just go through the hierarchy first, and question their manager if there is a problem. So, how can the manager handle this? I'm too busy. No, that's not the response. Can we talk about this next month? No, that's not the response. So, what should the manager do or say?
I believe when you said that, what comes to my mind is that many managers would accept the short answer, the shallow answer, okay? Because they don't want to go there, and they deep inside they know that there might be a bigger problem there, but they will say accept the short answer, the shallow answer, because they already have a lot on their plate. So, okay, since you said that, let's just record that in the minutes of the meeting. That's all what we have to care about, nothing more. And they don't want to go further. And this is this is not only devastating in terms of not knowing the real issue, but also establishing a behavior of not caring, among the team, which is more detrimental than just that little, damage in the workplace. But you're damaging your team when you are, we have a saying that what you allow, you encourage, especially in management. What you allow, you encourage. So you're turning the blind eye and you're accepting any answer for it. That's not good.
I've got one sentence and I want to go to Phoebe. You just touched on the key, I think. That is, by questioning the manager, it shows that they care, doesn't it?
Hmm.
Have a problem, I think. They are saying this because they care, not because they want to cause trouble, but because they care and they want to see change. And it may be an issue that the manager's not aware of, but they care enough to challenge so that it doesn't be a negativity that impacts on the organization. Phoebe, yours, please.
When you highlighted that, what I'm trying to see is, if that if someone is coming up in a culture in an organization to bring out their thought process, we have to see how hard that is for that employee to come up and bring that perspective to the attention, especially and Mohammed and Graham, you also mentioned how that employee cares about that space. And quite often, this is not understood by many of the people in organization, especially when they move into the, I call it hippo position. And hippo means highest paid person's opinion, and how as an employee I am bringing these challenging circumstances, and imagine that if it is being seen from a compassionate space, it actually helps in the, again, I'm connecting it with the second practice of leadership challenge, inspiring a shared vision. What is the vision for our team to materialize what we are aiming for, and what way these people can contribute in the team. And if imagine, as we have just discussed, in a safe space, people are bringing these concerns. It actually take the organization to move forward, and that sets in the culture. That sets into the culture of organization where sharing and giving critical feedback become the culture.
I want to just pick up again on what you said about the first practice, model the way. Essentially, the model of the way is about values, understanding your values and living your values. And this is critical when someone is concerned about the way the team is going or a process that's in place is not working. And if the values of the leader perhaps include integrity, if it includes teamwork, if it includes inclusion, and he's articulated this to the team, and then he pushes back on any questioning from an employee or a team member, that is going against his values. And I would think that the person who's questioning should say, look, I'm really sorry to say this to you, but I'm hearing what you're saying, but it does seem to be a little inconsistent with the values that you've articulated or the values of the organization. Oh, yes. Okay. One other thought that goes to my mind in this situation is the question of time. I'm too busy to talk about this. Haven't we got other things to talk about that are more important? I don't want any manager, any leader to brush someone off because of the time issue. He or she might say, look, this sounds like it's pretty serious. Can we set aside some time tomorrow in fact, I'll come in earlier tomorrow, or for instance, I'm not saying he has to say this, but he'd be showing or demonstrating his concern for the problem that's been raised. And how about we meet together tomorrow before the phones start ringing, before the emails start coming in from the rest of the department? Let's talk about this, and we'll give it an hour tomorrow morning to go through this. Is that okay? Oh, yeah, sure. That demonstrates commitment on the part of the leader to listen to the person and hopefully get through to a solution. Mohammed, you mentioned earlier about the simple level and not going deep enough. And depth is quite often really important, isn't it? When there is an issue, and that depth to get maybe firstly embarrassing or awkward for the leader because it might reflect on him, but also it might be seen to be time consuming. When you weigh that up against the problem that's being articulated, it's probably not a whole lot of time at all compared to what the consequences are.
And listen, when you mentioned about time, it reminds me about something. So sometimes people may not speak up in front of their colleagues, one, because of time, two, because it's a bit sensitive, all right? You just gave us a hint, Graham. I'll come earlier. How about a leader makes a habit of paying visits separately to his, team members in their cubicles, in their offices, or in their, line of work, departments, going there and speaking to one at a time and, probing deeper and creating a safe space of, all right, so what's happening with you here? Maybe when he or she is with you alone and you are asking honest questions and showing, earnest determination to know what's really not going well, etc., then they will open up with you. This way, you are saving time and also creating a space so that she or he can and will tell you the problems, the real problems. And yet, the good news is you can also take this to the main team without making it something of top secret or highly confidential. When you reconvene with your team again, you can just touch upon this and say, I want to thank Ahmed for raising an issue in his department, and it was handled and it saved us many dollars and many days of problems. Thank you, Ahmed. All right. And thank you for all of you who has been open with me, etc. So you are setting a culture this way, and yet you're not taking the full meeting time to explore the full idea, the full problems if they are scared. So visiting people right there in their front lines with what they are doing is very essential for you as a leader.
I think that's fantastic. I would like to add one condition or part of condition to that the leader says perhaps he says to the team, or if he just decides to do this and make a time to see each individual member, which that's fantastic. When he's with them, or when he's setting this up with the team overall, in saying, I'm going to have a one-on-one with each of you on rotation, so get ready. I'm going to have an hour with you every whatever, but set some time parameters. Maybe it's a half an hour. And I want to talk to you and find out as long as everything's going okay, what we can change and what have you. But there's a condition, if you like, or a sentence that he should add on to that. And he should say, if there is, however, a need along the way for you to talk to me about something that comes up, don't wait for the scheduled time. I am available anytime. So
Yes.
if there is a need, come and let me know that there is a need. Don't just say, well, Graham's got me booked in for Tuesday of next week. I'll wait until then. No, the plane might crash by then. The disaster may have occurred. So say, I'll come and talk to you, but if there's any need to talk with you beforehand, please let me know. Bibi, I think I cut you off again and I apologize.
No, I was thinking, again, this connecting with the third practice challenges the process. How as a leader I am comfortable where people are the people in my team can challenge the process, and you actually pointed out to that, Graham, as well as Mohammed. And when you mentioned, I was thinking this phrase, "Bring me solutions, not problems." And this often do more harm than good, because what happens is when it creates fear, then sometimes, as you just mentioned, that it delays the intervention. By the time the issue might have become a full-blown challenge in an organization. And in some cases, when we say bring me solutions, not problems, it is actually going to hide problems in workplace. And I have experienced that when these problems are hidden, it snowball into larger challenge, and quite often the solution will be expensive, and in some cases I have seen in the Middle East organization collapsing as an institution and no more. We can see a number of examples from the world with these kind of situations where warning signs were often ignored by organizations, and sometimes that things go out of hand. And one thing which, as Mohammed mentioned, the culture, what kind of culture we create. I think we should create, a bring me along culture, where I am willing and here to accept the challenge me in that process. And it also leads to the fourth practice, actually enabling others to act. When we have that phrase, bring me along, it is actually bringing the people towards action where they are enabled to come up with solutions along with an open heart connected with the values, where the leader is willing to listen.
I want to come back to what you said about the statement of don't bring me problems, to bring me solutions. And I had a conversation, maybe 10 years ago, nearly, if not 10 years ago, with a gentleman who's well known in the HR area, senior gentleman, written some books on this. His name is Ed Shine, and he was at a Leadership Challenge conference in San Francisco, the annual event that we have for the Leadership Challenge. And I was talking to him about this very thing and saying how important it is so that people bring solutions. And he said, there's one area particularly that I disagree on that. And this is an area that Mohammed will relate to. He said it's in the safety area. He said, if someone identifies a problem and they can't come up with a solution, if you imposed on them that they must come to you with solutions, there could be an accident or potentially a fatal accident because someone has held back. I haven't got the solution. I won't report it. And I understand exactly what he's saying. So therefore, we should be encouraging people, if you haven't got a solution, still come to your manager and have that conversation. And the manager should be, we started out talking about depth of conversation. And that conversation that I said as an example a little earlier in this call, that maybe I could say, let's get together tomorrow early tomorrow we might spend half an hour or an hour, and then I might say, we still haven't got to the kernel of this issue. We still haven't got to the core of it. We need to talk more about this, even though it might be uncomfortable for me to be doing this. Sometimes leaders have a little discomfort in their lives, and this could be one of those examples. But he or she has got to be encouraging dialogue at the deepest level if it is needed, so that everybody knows that we can talk to this person, we can be authentic, he or she is authentic with us to get a solution. And the reason is we both care. You as the team members care about what we're doing and what you're doing. And if you see an issue, you care and you want to come and talk about it, even though it might be uncomfortable or awkward. We need to have these conversations. Gentlemen, Mohammed.
Yes, as we wrap up this, I will say this, and it's uncomfortable, really. All right. But since we are in the very episode which encourages going out of the comfort zone and speaking up the uncomfortable and not avoiding, I want to say this. We might feel at a very good, condition and think when things are running well, when all is well, we might think all is okay with us as leaders and teams. But when problems occur, this is where it becomes a test to our integrity, honesty, openness, how much we really care about people. So if there is an issue and your team member is unable to fully convey the picture to you, a leader, whether within the team publicly or even privately, then there is an issue with the way you are handling as a leader. Your leadership needs polishing. I'm not saying you're not a leader, but you are still not creating that environment where people can speak up, challenge you, and challenge everything for the sake of the better good and common good, which is also part of the envision a shared vision. Inspire a shared vision. The common good. It says that in the leadership challenge. Are you willing to do that? To share what's happening fully and challenge the process. So regard this as a good test when problems happen, and don't panic about it. Don't beat yourself about it, but improve your leadership in that regard. And as always, the leadership challenge will be your best go-to resource on that.
Absolutely. Bibi, one final word from you.
Yeah, again, this is a question which I want people in positions of authority, leading large teams should ask, what could we try? What do you need? What is in the way? So we are asking questions which probably help us to get more insight into what the critical issues we are facing. And it also help encourage the heart, the fifth practice, where people will feel, okay, my leader is asking questions. My leader is willing to listen to me. And again, the deep listening skills will definitely bring change. And that creates belongingness for employees. And it also lead to the culture of safety where challenge me can be celebrated.
Absolutely. Challenge me. Challenge. Let's talk about it and let's not brush it away. Let's talk about it in depth. Gentlemen, as usual, I thank you for your wisdom. I thank you for engaging, and I wish you this great success in leadership, as I do to everybody who's with us now in the week ahead and going further forward. I want to ask you this, everybody, this question. If you could improve your leadership by 1% every day, what would it be like for you in 12 months' time? Thank you, gentlemen. I look forward to being with you again next week.
And thank you, everyone. So challenge us, subscribe, share, and spread the word. Reach out.